It's December 29th, 2021, and it's time for another installment in my research on the Jussie Smollett case. So I gotta say, I made a few mistakes last time. One, I've been saying that Jussie Smollett is from Chicago, and that is how he could stand such low temperatures as 20 below. That is incorrect. He is actually from California. He spent the first roughly 7 or so years of his life, 7 or 8, in New York City, so I guess he was in some New York City winters. Probably is used to snow, maybe not 20 below, but snow, you know. And then, but still, anyone who moves to Chicago, it's like, well, you're gonna have to be ready for some cold temperatures. So to me, the fact that he's from California, the fact that the Osundaira brothers are from Africa, doesn't really make a difference. If you have a thick coat and, you know, boots and stuff and a hoodie, whatever you need, you can survive a 5-minute walk in downtown Chicago at 20 below. You're not in a farm field. It's civilization. Another thing is, I was saying that it's possible that Smollett never said that he had a gay relationship with either the brothers, but that was inaccurate. He did. Here's an article from the New York Post. Every time you read any article, it's got some things in here you don't really hear about. You're always finding new information here. Abimbola, who is the brother who allegedly had an affair with Smollett, responded no when he was asked. You told him if he gave you and your brother $1 million each, you wouldn't testify. Shay Allen alleged that Abimbola, that's Ola, alleged that Shay Allen alleged that Abimbola, remember that's Abel, not Ola. Ola is Olabinjo. Shay Allen alleged that Abel and Smollett had previously dated, masturbated together at a gay bathhouse, and then Shay Allen alleged that the attack was fueled by a desire to be the actor's security guard. See, that's the theory that I was promoting before my last video, where everything kind of got thrown into question. That was the idea that they were trying to extort or racketeer Smollett for his money, to make him think that there was a physical threat against him and make him more likely to be willing to pay more money for training. Training not only to get buff for his role on Empire, but training to potentially defend himself from whoever sent him that threatening racist letter. So Abel was asked, you don't recall seeing gay pornography? You don't remember masturbating with him? Abel says no. Abel told jurors that Smollett had gone to the Steamworks bathhouse together in Chicago's Boys Town neighborhood, a predominantly gay community, and asked if gay pornography was played on the televisions inside the spa. And Abel says no, because he doesn't recall, at least. Yelp reviews indicate that pornography is played there and that there's glory holes and hookup rooms. Shay Allen mentioned that the homosexuality is illegal in Nigeria, where the brothers have strong ties, and claimed that Abel had called someone on the set of Empire the F slur. And according to this New York Post article, which is from December 2nd of this year, Olabinjo says that there was some hate mail sent to him, that's Smollett, at Empire Studios, and that he had this crazy idea that 2 MAGA Trump supporters attack him, or would attack him, so that he could get the footage of it and put it on social media to have that shown to Empire Studios. This is according to Ola. And it's like, really? Then why didn't he have the footage? If he had this idea that he was going to get the fight or the attack caught on film, then why didn't he end up with the footage? And if he knows Kamala Harris, then he knows cops. How come he didn't have his contact at the Chicago police, whoever that might be, no one, get him that video? Well, because the camera was facing north, it was facing away from the attack. And that's because it wasn't pointed at where the attack was going to be. It wasn't pointed at where the fight was going to be. That's because Smollett had no ability to make sure that the camera would be pointing where the attack was going to be. He didn't stage it. He had no ability to stage it. If he had no ability to film it, then he probably didn't stage it. Olabinjo explains that he placed the rope around Smollett's face. While Smollett and his team have claimed his attackers placed a noose around his neck before fleeing, Olabinjo testified on Thursday that it didn't actually happen. I placed it around his face. So that would seem to imply that he placed it around Smollett's face during the attack. So it's kind of weird. It sounds like Olabinjo Osundaira is confessing to attacking Jussie Smollett. It's pretty big, pretty important. Well, except that's explained away by, oh, Jussie Smollett planned the attack, told him to do it. Like, are you sure? You have Olabinjo, according to the New York Post, confessing to attacking Smollett and trying to put a rope around his face. That means the attack happened, which is consistent with what CBS Chicago Channel 2 said the day Smollett was found guilty, which is that the jury believes the attack did happen. And Olabinjo says that the attack did happen when he says he placed the rope around Smollett's face. The jury was then shown still images from surveillance video recorded after the attack that clearly show Smollett with the rope around his neck, indicating that he had pulled it on himself. Yeah, if you believe Olabinjo Sundaro, what he's saying exactly, how do you know he couldn't put it around Smollett's face and then it fell around his head? How do you know that just because Smollett had it around his neck when he was at his home, that he pulled it on himself? What if Olabinjo is lying about where he placed the rope? What if he did put it around Smollett's neck? What if he's just lying? You ever consider the possibility that when these people make statements, sometimes it might not be true? So there's no proof that Smollett pulled the rope around his own neck. It's only true if you believe without questioning that Olabinjo placed it around his face. And if you believed without questioning that Olabinjo Sundaro placed a rope around Smollett's face, then you should take more seriously the fact that Olabinjo is admitting the attack happened. That is, or would be, a confession, if only Smollett weren't the person charged with the more important crime of lying to police, which has not been proven. They just said he lied to police on 5 counts. We don't know what those lies were. Those lies are probably just inconsistencies that haven't actually been proven to be inconsistencies yet, like with the MAGA hat, which I'll get to. So here's an answer to a question I've had in an earlier video. Why was bleach chosen instead of gasoline? According to this New York Post article, Olabinjo had testified at a grand jury in 2019 that he originally intended to dump gasoline on Smollett, but decided to use bleach instead because he didn't want to be caught on camera pouring gas into a container. So you see, here's Olabinjo Sundaro saying in 2019, according to this article, that the attack happened. So if you think Smollett's guilty of planning the attack, most of you who think that think the attack didn't even happen. Well, here's something indicating that Smollett planned the attack, so it seems. That should cause you to have to admit that the attack did happen, because Olabinjo allegedly, according to this article, said to a grand jury that he intended to dump gasoline and chose bleach instead. So Olabinjo admitted, according to this article, to pouring bleach on Jussie Smollett. So you should be able to admit that he poured bleach on Jussie Smollett. So you should be able to admit that it's possible to pour bleach on someone at 20 degrees below when you've been storing the bleach indoors at a 70 degree above Fahrenheit environment. It's possible to pour warm bleach that's been stored inside on someone when you've only been outdoors in the 20 degree below weather for a minute or two while you're staking someone out long enough to fucking pour bleach on them. It's completely possible. And here we go. Olabinjo's saying that he did dump bleach on Smollett. So if you think that Smollett planned the attack, if you think he could have been out there, if you think he planned the attack, then you should be able to admit that the attack happened or could have happened, that he could have been out there in 20 below, that the brothers could have been out there in 20 below, or if they didn't attack him, then someone else could have. Watch my previous video. Olabinjo says he decided to use bleach because he was safer than gasoline without providing any other explanation. But then, as it says in the previous paragraph, the reason he said that he chose bleach instead of gas 2 years prior was that he didn't want to be caught on camera pouring gas into a container. He didn't want it to be traced back to him. He wanted to get away with it. Criminals want to get away with the crime. Just a little reminder. And if criminals want to get away with the crime, then it's possible they sometimes might use disguises. Here's an animated version of the Dave Chappelle famous bit about the French actor Jussie Smollett.
Apparently, when he's walking down the street late at night, 2 white men came out of the shadows with MAGA hats on.
2 white men came out of the shadows with MAGA hats on. That's what Dave Chappelle said. There's only one problem. He never reported that it was white men, and he never reported that they were wearing MAGA hats. If you look at the Wikipedia entry on the 2019 hate crime hoax, you can see all the description. He said they used racial and homophobic slurs and said this is MAGA country. Distinction from MAGA hats. MAGA country. They shouted MAGA country at him. He didn't say they were wearing MAGA hats. He said they were wearing ski masks. There's nothing in here about MAGA hats. He said they used their hands, feet, and teeth as the weapon. I never heard that they used the teeth before. Never talk about that. There's so many things they don't talk about. Poured an unknown liquid. Put a noose around his neck. Olabenjo says it was around his face. There's barely a difference, okay? Said he fought him off. There's nothing. Thin white rope around the neck. There's nothing here about a MAGA hat. There's nothing here even about a red hat. Now, allegedly he did report there being a red hat. Not sure about that. Can't even find any proof of that. But he definitely didn't say a MAGA hat. He said they were wearing ski masks, and he got no other identifying information. And here's Jussie Smollett's report to Chicago police on January 29th, 2019. Met ROs in lobby of building and escorted ROs to unit of victim. He related to ROs that victim did not want to report offense. However, he believed it to be in the best interest too. ROs arrived at apartment unit of victim to find him with white rope draped around neck, inventory number, and stained clothing, inventory number. Victim related to ROs that as he was walking to his residence, two unknown males, see, it doesn't say white guys, it says two unknown males, no race given. Two unknown males approached him and gained his attention by saying verbatim, Empire, and I guess that would be the N-word and the F-word, maybe. Victim related that he is an actor on the TV show Empire, and ROs know those terms said to him to be racial and homophobic slurs. The primary aggressor was wearing a black mask, concealing any facial features. So Smollett wouldn't know what race they are, except if he looked on the skin between, between the eye holes, the black ski mask's eye holes. But he didn't get a good look at them. He didn't know what the race was, so he didn't report the race. He just said the primary aggressor, that's the person who approached him, was wearing a black mask. He said there were two guys, two unknown males. One who he saw from the front that was wearing a black mask, a black cotton ski mask, I would think, concealing any facial features. Both offenders dressed in black, proceeding to batter the victim about the face with their hands and pouring an unknown chemical substance on him, staining his clothing. See, it doesn't say bleach in the police report. Smollett, I believe, did say bleach verbally, so it could be bleach or something like it. It might not exactly be bleach, but he says it smells like bleach. He didn't say bleach in the police report. It's important to remember that. I don't know why it's important, but remember it anyway. The victim does not remember any other distinguishing features of the offenders or which direction they fled. See, the victim does not remember any other distinguishing features of the offenders, which can only mean that the fact that Smollett didn't mention a red hat, didn't mention a MAGA hat, and didn't mention the race of his attackers, either of them, the two guys, it kind of suggests that he doesn't know what race they are or what hats they were wearing.
Two white men came out of the shadows with MAGA hats on.
So how could he have said that it was specifically a red hat or a MAGA hat or that they were white or black? He never said his attackers were white. He never said his attackers were black until after he thought it was the Osundairo brothers. He never said it was MAGA hats. I honestly can't remember if he ever said it was red hats. It's been so over-reported at this point that I can't even remember. But in the police report, he doesn't mention a red hat. He doesn't mention a MAGA hat. He doesn't say his attackers were white guys. So how could he be trying to provoke racial hate crimes against white MAGA-supporting Trump voters? He never said that there were white MAGA hat-wearing guys who attacked him. He said that some people, two unknown guys wearing a black ski mask, or the first one was wearing a black ski mask, yelled the F-word and the N-word and said Empire and said, "This is MAGA country." He said, "This is MAGA country," instead of wearing a MAGA hat. Smollett never said he was wearing a MAGA hat. He said, "This is MAGA country." Those are not the same thing. Wearing a hat and yelling a thing that's on a hat are different fucking things. Stop putting words in Smollett's mouth. The reason his story is so unbelievable is because what's being repeated is not actually his story. It's a straw man of his story. Look up logical and rhetorical fallacies. A straw man is when you put words in someone's mouth, and it's like Socratic exaggeration. You're making their argument seem more unbelievable by adding stuff that is impossible. Oh, it couldn't have been a guy who says this is MAGA country because Chicago isn't MAGA country. That has nothing to do with it. The sandwich has nothing to do with it. Read the police report. Whether these people confessed matters. If the Osundara brothers confessed, then good. Charge them with something. Charge them with conspiring to commit a false hate crime. Why isn't that a crime? Isn't that a crime? So if he's admitting that he put the rope around his face, then you should charge him with a crime. Or at least it means the attack did happen. So you should admit that the attack did happen. Oh, he was convicted for lying to the police 5 times. Well, what did he lie about? What specific things did he lie about? Can you prove that the prosecutors were right when they said that he lied? What were the 5 lies? Look closely at this stuff, guys. Look at the evidence before you put a man in jail for potentially 3 to 15 years. The original January 29th, 2019 police report that I just showed you, it's not in there that Smollett's attackers allegedly said this is MAGA country. But he did say in February in this ABC interview that they said that.
He said, this MAGA country punches me right in the face.
And here's him once again saying that he never said his attackers were wearing MAGA hats.
Smollett also says he has been troubled by inaccurate claims. What other ones had you heard that were inaccurate?
That I had said that they were wearing MAGA hats. I never said that. I didn't need to add anything like that. They called me a. They called me a. There's no which way you cut it. I don't need some MAGA hat as the cherry on top of some racist sundae.
So at some point he said this is MAGA country N-word, and at some other point he said the F-word. So it's not exactly an inconsistency. It is at least a failure on Smollett's part to report as soon as it happened that the phrase MAGA country was used. That's not in the police report. So it is possible that he, quote unquote, made it up as the cherry on top of a racist sundae, but it could just be that he forgot to disclose it and forgot to let them know that his attackers said MAGA country. This is MAGA country, N-word. Tell me in the comments whether you think he withheld that and failed to disclose that on purpose or by accident, just through neglect. Because if he said it on purpose, it's possible that he's making this up. And if he didn't say it on purpose, then it's possible that he's not trying to deceive anyone, and maybe even possible that the attack did happen, and he's telling the truth about not planning it. I also want to communicate here that I'm still open to any possibility. I'm still open to the possibility that Smollett did stage the attack. And even that Smollett is a friend of Kamala Harris, a friend of Don Lemon, and Don Lemon's a creepy sexual predator who puts his hand on his balls and then shoves it in people's faces. Here's something we want to consider. Jussie Smollett was in Mighty Ducks, the first Mighty Ducks movie. And it's possible. So he started as a child model, which is like creepy. Okay. So he started child model, child actor. We know what happens to kids in Hollywood. They get abused, they get their money stolen. So there was a kid who was in the movie Mighty Ducks 2, and his name is Brock Pierce. And he got involved with the group DEN, Digital Entertainment Network, that was run by Mark Collins Rector. And Mark Collins Rector was a child abuser, a gay pedophile who ended up changing his name after he tried to marry an 18-year-old boy in Britain, and now he's living in Belgium, probably collecting money from patenting the thing that became the YouTube algorithm way back in the year 2000. So he might be a billionaire collecting money anonymously. That's the guy who tried to lure Brock Pierce into prostitution. Now Brock Pierce became a Bitcoin billionaire, gave up all his money, trying to establish his credibility, but he can't because he was in a production company, a movie production company, with a child abuser. who's an international fugitive now. So that's Brock Pierce. Brock Pierce ran for president, Bitcoin guy, met with Epstein on one of Epstein's islands at, I believe it was the 2014, maybe 2011, the Mindshift conference on one of the Epstein Islands in the Caribbean to discuss cryptocurrency. So that's who Brock Pierce is. I don't know whether he's reliable. I don't know whether he's a child abuser. It's possible that he's a victim and just got wrangled into this production company by two older gay pedophiles who own the YouTube patent together, suspiciously. So Brock Pierce was in Mighty Ducks 2. Jussie Smollett was in the first Mighty Ducks. I'm just showing you connections because it's like, okay, maybe Jussie Smollett's connected to Hollywood predators, DC pedophiles. I don't know. Maybe he's fucking evil. Maybe he and Don Lemon are evil. I'm keeping my mind open. Maybe they're part of a cartel of homosexual prostitution ring. I don't fucking know. I just want you to keep in mind who are the people surrounding the Mighty Ducks movie. Brock Pierce, Jussie Smollett, and Emilio Estevez, whose brother Charlie Sheen may have been one of the people who raped Corey Feldman when he was a kid. And at the very least, has AIDS, probably cheats on his wife a lot. I don't know what Charlie Sheen did. A lot of bad shit, probably. So I don't know if Emilio Estevez is a bad guy, but you gotta question, like, how close were pedophiles to the set of Mighty Ducks and Mighty Ducks 2? How close were they to Brock Pierce and Jussie Smollett and, Estevez and Sheen? Was Sheen a pedophile? Is Sheen a bisexual pedophile? Did he rape Corey Feldman? I have no fucking idea. The jury's out. There's a lot of things we're not even allowed to talk about because that same YouTube algorithm controls what we can talk about, without getting demonetized. And the YouTube algorithm was patented by Mark Collins Rector, who's a boy-hungry pedophile. So that's what's going on with that. We may never find out the answers to these things, how close pedophiles were to the set of Mighty Ducks and Mighty Ducks 2. We may never find out exactly who in DC and Hollywood that are corrupt or pedophiles or gay prostitution ring pimps. I don't fucking know that Jussie Smollett knows. I don't know these things. I'm keeping an open mind. He could be a fucking criminal. He could be lying about the sexual relationship with the Osundara brother. I have no idea. The point is, you need to look at alternative viewpoints and alternative possibilities, or you're never going to know whether Smollett did it or why, if he did it in the first place. If he didn't, who actually attacked him, and whether it's the Osundara brothers, or whether it's just two guys who have nothing to do with it.